Good morning, grade 9 students. Today we are just going to revise chemistry first chapter, that is matter in our surroundings. So what is matter? Everything around us is made up of matter. Matter actual definition is anything which has mass and occupies space. Constituents of matter according to Indian philosophers, they are made up of five basic elements which are called as Panchatattva: air, water, earth, sky and fire. Characteristics of particles of matter. Particles of matter have three characteristics, that is they have spaces between them, they are continuously moving and they attract each other. So for first characteristic, particles of matter have spaces between them. For that, a small example let us consider. Take a beaker containing water. Add salt into it and stir it well, mix it well. After some time you'll observe that level of the water do not rise. So where did the particles of salt go? They have occupied the spaces in between the liquid particles. So this has proven that particles of matter have spaces between them. And particles of matter are continuously moving because they all possess kinetic energy. The energy due to motion is called as kinetic energy. And not only that, particles of matter intermix with different types of matter on their own. This process is called as diffusion. So diffusion and kinetic energy are directly proportional to heating. So if heating increases, kinetic energy and diffusion also will increase. Next characteristic is particles of matter attract each other. Particles of matter always are held together because of force of attraction between them. But according to their physical states, force of attraction will change. Solids have highest force of attraction compared to liquids, compared to gases. Gases have least force of attraction in them. So you can easily move hands in the air, whereas in the solid object you cannot move them. And if you arrange the force of attraction between different types of matter in the increasing order, the order is gas less than liquid less than solids. Now we'll move to states of matter. Particles of matter have force of attraction between them, we already know. So based on this criterion, we can say that matter is present in three different states: solid state, liquid state and gaseous state. So now we'll move to solid state. Solids are the objects which have these properties. They have specific shape, distinct boundaries and they have volume, and they have least kinetic energy among the particles, and they are generally arranged in a proper order. So they have a fixed shape and you cannot compress them. Force of attraction is maximum in the solids and they do not have spaces between the particles, so you cannot compress them. So, but there are certain exceptions. Those are rubber band, sponge and salt. Just consider their situations. All of them are solids. Generally, they follow the properties of solids. A rubber band and sponge, they can change their shape only when you apply force onto them. So, you might also think that salt is taking the shape of container, but actually each of its grain has a definite shape. So, all these three are solids. Now we'll move to liquid state. Liquids have the following properties. They have fixed volume but they do not have fixed shape. Force of attraction is less compared to solids and they have little space between them, so they can move easily. They can flow easily from one place to another place. And you cannot that easily compress them, right? And anything which can flow, they are called as fluids. And liquids take the shape of a container in which you put them, and they have slightly little more kinetic energy compared to solids. That's the reason they'll start moving from one place to another place when you drop them. Now the question is, can other matter diffuse into liquids? Yes, even other matter can diffuse into liquids, whether it is solids, liquids or gases, because there are certain spaces or gaps between the particles of liquid, so other particles can easily slip into their spaces. For that, few examples are given. Diffusing solids into liquids, that is mixing of sugar in the tea. So in the tea, sugar gets mixed well. Diffusing liquids into liquids, mixing ink in water. Diffusing gases into liquids, the presence of oxygen and carbon dioxide in the water, which is helping aquatic animals and plants. Now we'll move to gaseous state. Gases have the following properties. They do not have fixed volume, they do not have fixed shape. Particles of gases, they have least or almost no force of attraction between them, and they have lot of spaces between them, so they can move easily in any direction. They can be easily compressed and you can put them into a small container, right? And there's a lot of spaces between them, so different gases can diffuse into each other easily. Kinetic energy is also very high in case of gases. So here a comparison is given for solid, liquid and gas. Solid has definite shape, liquid has indefinite shape, gas has indefinite shape, and solids and liquids have definite volume, whereas gas have indefinite volume. And force of attraction is very very high for solids compared to liquids, compared to gases. Solids cannot be compressed, liquids also too much they cannot be compressed, gases can be compressed. Kinetic energy of gas is very high compared to liquids, compared to solids. Particles, they will generally in solids they do not move, they'll just vibrate in their fixed position, whereas for a liquid they can slide over one another. In gases they can move easily in any direction. Density, density means mass by volume. So highest density is for solid compared to liquid, compared to gases. Solids cannot flow, whereas liquids and gases can flow. Flow means anything which can move, it's called as fluid. Now they're asking us a question, can matter change its state? Yes, matter can change its states from one state to another state. Ice is a solid, when you heat it changes to water. Water, when you heat it, it changes to water vapor. So there is a change in state. So effect of change of temperature. So what happens to matter when we heat it? Generally when you heat it, what happens is kinetic energy of particles of solids increases, which decreases their force of attraction between the particles. They'll slowly start vibrating and changing their positions. Slowly they'll absorb the heat energy and the particles will become free and it will convert to liquid. So generally this takes place at a particular temperature which is called as melting point. So melting point is defined as the temperature at which solid changes into liquid at atmospheric pressure. For example, melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius or 273.16 Kelvin. You can round it and just write it as 273 Kelvin. And the process of change of solid to liquid is called as melting, or it's also called as fusion. In the melting process, once a solid reaches its melting point, its temperature will not increase further. So where did the heat energy go? The heat is used to break the force of attraction between the particles. So here the heat energy is getting hidden, which is called as latent heat. So the heat energy which is used to break the force of attraction between the particles of matter and it is getting hidden, it's called as latent heat. Now we'll move to latent heat of fusion. So the amount of heat energy that is required to change 1 kg of a solid into liquid at atmospheric pressure at its melting point is called as latent heat of fusion. And atmospheric pressure is the pressure exerted by the weight of the atmosphere. Now we'll move to liquids. In liquids also, just like solids, kinetic energy will increase when you heat them and the force of attraction between them start to decrease, right? Because that heat energy breaks the force of attraction between them. So at certain point when you're continuously supplying the heat energy, the particles will overcome the force of attraction and they'll change to gas. So at that temperature is called as boiling point. The temperature at which a liquid starts boiling at the atmospheric pressure is known as boiling point. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius or 373 Kelvin. Latent heat of vaporization means the amount of heat energy required to change 1 kg of a liquid into gas at atmospheric pressure at its boiling point. And what happens when we decrease the temperature? So when you start decreasing the temperature, reverse process takes place. That is, gases change to liquids, liquids change to solids. So the process in which you are converting a gas to liquid by cooling down its temperature is called as condensation or liquefaction. Right, because you are decreasing temperature, kinetic energy will decrease. Okay, example is formation of clouds due to condensation of water vapor from earth. Now liquids, the kinetic energy between the liquids also will decrease and they'll turn into solid. Example, water, when you will freeze it, it changes to ice. And next very important topic is sublimation. So sublimation is a process in which directly solid changes into gas without going into liquid state, or a gas changes directly back to solid without going into liquid state. This is called as sublimation, right? So solid directly changing into gas without going into liquid state. This is called sublimation. And the reverse process, gas changing back to solid without going into liquid state, it can also be called as sublimation, right? For example, camphor is a solid that directly evaporates into air without changing into liquid state. So by increasing or decreasing the temperature, we can change the states of matter. Here we have a small diagram, that is solids, when you are heating it, they are changing into liquid. When you heat liquid, it changes to vapor. Solid directly changing into gas is called as sublimation, and vapor directly changing into solid is also called as sublimation. And liquids, when you will freeze them, it's called as freezing or solidification. Whereas gases, when you will cool them into liquid, it's called as condensation. Now we'll move to effect of change of pressure. So by applying pressure, we can bring the particles of matter closer to each other, and you can compress, right? And thereby gas changes to liquid, liquid changes to solid. One example is dry ice. Carbon dioxide in solid form, it's called as dry ice. It can directly be converted or turned into gas by decreasing the pressure to 1 atmosphere. Next very important topic is evaporation. So particles of matter are never at rest, we already know them. They have different types of kinetic energy. Therefore, they can overcome the forces of attraction. Generally, liquids have more kinetic energy, so therefore they can overcome the force of attraction and convert into vapor without any external forces. So evaporation is a phenomenon of change of liquid into vapors at any temperature below its boiling point, and it is different from boiling. So evaporation is a surface phenomenon, whereas boiling takes place in the entire layers form, that is from down to top continuously the water gets evaporated or heated. Now factors affecting evaporation, we have 4 factors. First one is increase in surface area increases the evaporation because particles have more spaces and thus they can evaporate easily. Increase in temperature increases the evaporation. Kinetic energy increases as temperature increases. Increase in humidity decreases the evaporation because humidity is the amount of water vapor present in the air. Water content in the air increases means then evaporation will decrease. And if increase in wind speed takes place, then evaporation increases. Water vapors are blown away by winds, allowing more evaporation. Now how evaporation causes cooling. The process of evaporation uses the energy of the liquid particles. Therefore, particles absorb the energy from the surroundings to compensate the energy that is lost in the process of evaporation. This results in cooling of the surrounding area. For example, our palms will feel cool when we put some acetone on it because acetone absorbs the heat from our palm and it changes into water vapor and evaporates. As heat is removed, our palm will feel cool. People sprinkle water on the roofs or ground on sunny days to cool the area. We are also able to sip hot tea faster in a saucer than in a cup. And why do people wear cotton clothes in summer? Because we perspire more, means we sweat more. As the sweat evaporates, it takes energy from our body surface and keeps our body cool. Cotton can absorb sweat easily and it will expose to the atmosphere, causing evaporation to take place. This in turn keeps us cool in summer days. Why water droplets appear on surroundings of glass with ice cold water? There are water vapor present in the air. So when you take a ice cold water in a glass, the air, when it comes in contact with the walls of the glass, what happens is it will condense. As a result, its state changes from gaseous to liquid and thus forming tiny water droplets on the glass, on the walls of the glass. Thank you.